Hello, indie lovers. Welcome back to another episode of Indie Choice Picks. I'm your host, Will Calloway, and today I'm bringing you a very unique story that I've been following for a while. It's called Woodland Creatures, and it is actually live on Kickstarter right now. And it's not your typical urban fantasy tale at all. So sit back and relax. Let me bring the audience something new and just listen to what the creator has to say about his work. I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm excited and I can't wait for you to meet the creator of Woodland Creatures. So without further ado, let's get started. Hey, Alan, thank you for coming on the show. It was a real pleasure to meet you. I've been looking at most of your artwork on Instagram, and some of it is really fantastic. I just wanted to get you on the show and kind of pick your brain on your ideas and your concepts and kind of figure out how you came up with such a great idea for a graphic novel. So I'm gonna turn the mic over to you. Just tell the audience who you are, where you're from, how long you've been in the comic book industry. Just help them get to know you a little bit better. All right, Mike is yours.
Sure. Hello, everybody. So my name is Alan McLeod. I'm the co-editor of the Woodland Creatures graphic novel. So I've been working alongside my partner, Christina Roswell, who's kind of the brainchild of the original concept. So the graphic novel Woodland Creatures it's all about basically werewolves, but with a little bit of a twist.
Okay.
So instead of being the typical person turns into a wolf, which has been done to absolute death by now, what we've got a person who has a wolf's soulmate, and they're able to mentally transfer their consciousness into the body of the wolf and take control of it that way.
Okay.
Our graphic novel revolves around two key characters. You have Calliope Conway, who is basically, for lack of a better description, she's a murdering psychopath. And she is firmly of the opinion that humans are rubbish. They are not worthy of being anything. And she spends most of her time hunting them.
Wow. Okay.
Now, alongside Callie, you have her partner, Christopher. And Christopher is a former military veteran.
Okay.
He's come out of the army and he's suffering from PTSD. And our graphic novel is very much, how do these two deal with their own problems? How do they deal with the problems that come from these two strong characters being together? And are they able to put these problems to one side when the US military discovers about these werewolves and wants to weaponize them?
Okay. It's always the US. It's always us over here trying to weaponize stuff.
Well, our novel is set in the US, so it's not as if we're portraying the US military to be the bad guys.
No, just anything the US can get their hands on, they just want to weaponize it. Like, there's never like, let's do it in a good way. Let's like maybe pair me with my cat. Like, I would love to be telepathically paired with my cat. Like, I don't want to go to war and be, I don't know. It's just every time I hear like the US is going to weaponize like 5G or something, I'm like, oh, we're always trying to weaponize something over here.
Well, be fair. I don't think the UK military is that much better in this aspect either.
That's funny.
So the novel is based off of the paperback novel, which is written by Christina. So Christina Roswell, my partner, is, as I mentioned at the beginning, she's really the brainchild. She's the one who came up with the idea of this story, and she's the one who's been pulling everybody together to get it moving forward. As you mentioned at the beginning of the interview, you said that the artwork was absolutely fantastic. That is thanks to our Argentinian illustrator, Thomas Ira. And then our amazing script as well has been done by Rafael Davis, who's an amazing gentleman and really working to bring Christina's idea and transforming that from what can be several pages worth of words into one small sentence to really show the characters and bring those characters to life.
Now, with the graphic novel versus the book, does the graphic novel mirror the book exactly, or were there some changes that needed to be done?
There's obviously a small amount of changes. Obviously, with the novel, you find that as the author, Christina would find it very hard to keep it absolutely identical, whereas there's countless parts that maybe as she's writing it are there for filler.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where Raphael has been amazing of taking these parts which he considers not essential to the storyline and being able to remove them to keep the story flowing smoothly, but keeping it to as low as possible. So it's a very faithful adaptation to the original novel.
All right. What made you guys want to do a graphic novel based on the book? Because I've written books too, published them too. It never dawned on me that maybe I should do a comic book adaptation because I feel as though people who read the books would just kind of understand the story from there. If I wanted to do a graphic novel, which I'm working on now, it'll be kind of like a companion kind of thing that kind of aids the book. So what made you guys want to go ahead and make a graphic novel based on the book?
Well, the main issue for this one will be Christina. Christina's originally Spanish. And so the original novel of Woodland Creatures is based or is written in Spanish.
Oh, okay.
So to help it get to a wider audience and to help it mainly get to the English-speaking world, for example, the US and the UK,
Mm-hmm.
we did it in English.
Oh, okay.
Translating it from a paperback Spanish novel into a paperback English novel is not nearly as simple as it sounds.
No, I
There's a
bet there's
lot
not
that
a
goes
lot of
into
stuff
that.
that translates easily.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
So,
translation there.
yeah, so it's much easier to get that transformed. We thought a graphic novel is a good way to get it started, and then with the reception that will hopefully come from the graphic novel being in English, that will then work to get the paperback novel transformed.
Now, is she self-published or is she traditionally published, like with a agent and all that?
Yeah, so it's self-published.
Okay.
So the original novel was self-published on Amazon.
Oh yeah, everyone's doing that lately. I've done it. A lot of people are getting with it. It's a lot of fun when you do it. A lot of work too, just trying to get your book into the hands of the people. But
Yeah,
I mean, if you got one or two people who like it, it just kind of just slowly trickles over, and a lot of people get into it, and it allows you to do stuff like graphic novels to kind of build your audience. So it's pretty good. So I'm gonna share the screen. I have your Kickstarter open on this page. So just give me a second,
right.
quick. That one and share. Let me know when you see it.
Okay, it's still loading for me, so hopefully this will come up soon.
Hopefully,
Yeah, got it.
fantastic. So this is your Kickstarter page. You guys launched it earlier this week. I think it was around end of April, right?
We actually only launched it 2 days ago. We launched it on Thursday.
Okay, yes, it was something like that. I knew your partner hit me up on Instagram and said, "Hey, can we do an interview? We're going to launch our Kickstarter this week." And I go, "Most definitely, when you guys want to do it." So the Kickstarter's launched. I'm going to be backing this project because I see the artwork on Instagram, and it's one of those things that just got me curious, like what's going on here. So I'm judging, and you can say that I'm wrong, but I'm seeing that this takes place in like the northern west side of the U.S., maybe like Oregon or something like that. Am I in the ballpark?
You're pretty close. So we're actually doing it in two places. Some of the story is based in Manhattan,
Mm-hmm.
and then the rest of the story is going to be based in Alaska. And
Oh,
it's going to be based around the village of Petersburg, and it's going to be based around the Tlingit tribes up in Alaska. So that's kind of
now
where we're looking.
when you guys were drawing this, did you guys actually come over to the U.S. and visit some of the places that take place in the book, or what? How'd you guys do that?
Well, my partner's very lucky. Christina has done trips around Manhattan, so she did know Manhattan a while ago. But the issue of being a self-published author is it unfortunately doesn't give a huge amount of money. So sadly, we haven't been able to make it over to Alaska, although it's really on our hit list. We want to go over there and actually see really what's going on. And that was actually one of the difficulties of writing the novel. You needed to be very careful with making assumptions about places that you haven't actually been to and risking possibly offending people who you've never met.
Yeah.
So that's always something. And as well as that, Christina's a real perfectionist. You know, everything has to be absolutely spot on for her, and it can make it quite difficult when you're trying to design a world based around Google Maps, basically.
Yeah, I know the struggle. I'm kind of the same way when it comes to my work. Everything has to be perfect and somewhat referenced in the right way, especially if you're trying to give that sense of realism to the work. So I know exactly where she's coming from. So this is your Kickstarter page. You guys have a goal of about 4,000 US dollars. And these are your two characters right here, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, so Callie, the lady to the front, is our murdering psychopath heroine.
Okay.
Like a heroine. And then at
There
the
we go.
background,
And this guy right here is her partner, correct?
so that's Christopher there.
All right. So can you go into a little bit of how these two are telepathically linked to these wolves? Is that something that you can't reveal, or can you give us a little insight?
Yeah. So the basic idea is you've got almost like a whole other race living in the shadows of humanity, and these are the lycanthropes. Uh, from a very, very young age, they will have what's called an amarok, which is basically a wolf, but much larger.
Okay.
Much, much larger species of wolf. One of these amaroks will come to a lycanthrope child, and together they will form an incredibly close bond, to the point that if the amarok is killed, it's possible for the lycanthrope to then die of heartbreak.
Oh wow, that's one hell of a link.
So it's an incredibly close link. They really feel what the other person feels. And the lycanthropes, although they will look human and act human, they are part wolf as well. So that they get all the heightened senses, so heightened sense of smell, heightened hearing, the extra agility that will come with a wolf. And so really you have this entire race just living in the shadows, and that's kind of what our lycanthropes are.
So are these two the last of the lycanthropes, or are they still alive and well?
No, they're still alive and well, and that's actually where the US military is coming in, because they discover this whole extra race who have far superior hearing, far superior agility, far superior sense of smell, so they'd be able to basically act like human sniffer dogs.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I can see how that
At
would
the
work in
time,
military applications.
yeah, and at the same time as having a wolf. So, if you think you're sending basically trained wolves into a war zone, it's a fairly appealing idea. You can
Yeah,
understand the military is looking at it from.
I can see that's very interesting. Now, do the lycanthropes, do they take on any characteristics of a wolf, like maybe color changing eyes, claws, fangs, or anything like that?
No,
Nope,
no,
just completely human.
they will look identical to a human. And as I said, they're just going to be, dare I say, a little bit testier than a human. You kind of got to be careful what you're doing around a lycanthrope.
I understand. Okay, so you were telling me about the female protagonist. I would call her more of an anti-hero since she likes to kill humans for fun. What is her motivation in trying to stop the U.S. government in weaponizing their people?
Well, part of the motivation is she's seen what her partner Christopher has gone through coming out of the military,
Mm-hmm.
and so she doesn't really want to see that happening again. As much as I would love to say that she's out to try to save her entire race and be the kind of savior of the lycanthropes, she's really not. She's quite selfish in this aspect. She's really only looking out for herself and her close family. And so for her, it's just about keeping Christopher safe.
Oh, okay. So she's formed quite a bond with this man. I've seen some of the explicit pages you guys have posted, so I can
Yeah,
obviously tell this isn't a little kid fantasy story. This is more of like your
absolutely
audience.
not. Absolutely not for young child. And in fact, during some of our promotion events at Comic Cons over here in the UK, we had a few people who were seeing wolves and going, "Oh, this will work for my children," and we were going, "No."
Yeah, most definitely not. I saw that and I was like, oh wow, sex sells in America, so you guys are spot on with that for sure. So if you got different covers here, I'm seeing it's one like a variant and the other is like kind of like a standard, or what's the deal with that?
Yeah, so the cover that you have at the top there with the two kind of walking domineeringly towards the camera, that is our standard cover, and that's what, fingers crossed, the comics in kind of comic book shops will have, and that's gonna be our standard comic. Then we have a Kickstarter exclusive,
Which is
which is
this
the other
one.
one of the two around the campfire with the northern lights in the background.
I got you. I got you. Okay. So after the Kickstarter, you guys are looking to supply comic book stores with your work. How are you guys doing on that?
Well, we're going to cross that bridge when it comes to it.
I
At the
know.
moment, we're wanting to get a successful Kickstarter. This is volume 1 out of 3.
Oh, okay. So there's going to be more. I was going to be my next question. Will there be more
Yeah,
going on for this? That's
yeah.
cool. So,
Well, our intention is to do the entire paperback novel in 3 volumes. So this Kickstarter that we're doing is just the first volume, and hopefully the success of this will then springboard the second and third volumes, and each one's going to be about 48 pages long, so it's going to be a decent sized novel at the end.
for sure, for sure. How long have you been working on volume one? How long since you started till today?
A long time. I would say over a year's work has gone into getting to where we are, not just in creating the actual volume, but in promotion aspect and getting different prints that we have. So we've got various kind of Comic-Con exclusive prints, and we've got various different merchandise items as well, just working to sell it. So to get all of this designed, it's probably taken about a year.
Yeah, it takes a long time. I've been working on mine for a little over a year and a half, and I'm hoping to get finished with volume one this year, but juggling everything is kind of hard, especially it's only me and another guy who's working on it. I know I've interviewed people who have like a full-on team of like 5 to 6 people who split the work up evenly, so they have a little bit more push with theirs. But mine's is, eh, I like doing all the art. That's just me, but people do it. People have different preferences and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got different ideas of doing it. I think the one thing people don't realize is just how much work goes in to creating a graphic novel. People tend to
Oh,
think it's just an idea of, oh, you could just do a few doodles and then that's you
yeah.
sorted, and it's really not.
Yeah, when you look at something like this, my biggest thing is like, okay, so you drew this up, you got the characters right here around the campfire. It looks good, and then you go ahead and you draw like the background. My biggest thing is when you're just looking at the white background that you didn't color, you're like, God, what can I do with this background? And it takes a lot of brainstorming to try and figure out what would look good with something that you've already drawn. And that's usually like the biggest problem that most people that I've interviewed run into is backgrounds. Like you got to have a background. You just can't draw the characters there. You got to make sure the background looks nice. So we got to make sure it makes sense with what you're trying to portray. So it's a lot of work for sure. And at the end of the day, it's all about getting done. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to actually do it. It's about finally saying, I did it. I'm finished. It took me 5
Absolutely.
years.
And where we are very lucky with Thomas Ira, our illustrator. He really seems to be on the same wavelength as Christina. So when the two are really conversing about what they want to have in a storyboard or as a front cover, Christina will make maybe one small adjustment, and then the next version that Thomas sends is it. It's perfect.
Yep.
It's remarkable to see what he does, and this is really where his genius shows through in his amazing artwork and what he's creating for us.
That's exactly true. And I work with an artist, and it's funny, like most of the people that are artists working on comic books, along with other indie creators, it's hilarious because most of them are not from the same country. Like my artist lives in the Philippines, yours lives in what do you say, Venezuela?
Argentina, yeah.
Argentina, I'm sorry, Argentina. There are other people that live in Mexico and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know what they're doing over there in those other countries, but sometimes I see like their artwork and I ask them, well, who did this? And like, they'll be like, oh, my artist over in the Philippines. And I go, man, Philippines are great with their work. It's spot on. I don't know what they're doing over there to perfect their art, but they're doing something fantastic.
Whatever, they can keep doing it because it's
Yes.
really working for everybody.
And, we're outsourcing that to those guys. And I mean, I just had a job for my ink artist for Star Wars Day. Paid him like $60 for it, and he did such a great job. But I mean, $60 here is like $500-600 there. So I mean, he's making money off of me for sure. I think he's made quite a boatload of money off him, but I don't mind. I mean, he does a great job, and as long as the artist does the great job, you keep on rehiring them and bringing them back for more projects and stuff like that. So
That's the thing, and we're very lucky that Thomas has signed on for the entirety of our project. So he said he's going to do all 3 volumes, which means we don't run the risk of, end of volume 2, we start having to look for another illustrator, and the art style might change a little bit. We don't have that problem. It's gonna.
yeah, I'm not a fan of like having different artists work on stuff. I'm a fan of like consistency when it comes to the artwork of the book. And this, I
Yeah.
hate it when you look at one comic and the artwork is great, and then you look at another comic and you're like, well, who did this? This doesn't. I love consistency when it comes to especially art,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
and this is where perfectionist comes
Yeah,
in and very much going, no, this is going to be perfect for us.
yeah. I mean, because if you're putting all this time and energy into your work, you want it to be perfect. You don't want to half-ass it. You want it to be 100% flawless to an extent, because granted,
Absolutely.
let's say you go balls to the walls and you make it perfect, there's going to be a few people out there who just doesn't like it for whatever reason. But if you say you were half-assing it, you didn't really give it your all, and those same people still hate your work, you always question yourself like, I probably should have done it better. So it's always good to go 100% first instead of half-assing it and then going back. Like I have to redo like 4 or 5 pages that I've done in the past that I'm looking at it now. I'm like, that needs to be redone. So got to make it work. So, one question for you guys. Oh, cool character designs. I like this. Going down. Is your entire novel going to be in black and white, or are you guys going to color it?
It's going to be black and white.
Okay.
I
like
think
the. Go
we
ahead.
kind of thought possibly having it colored, but when Thomas first sent over his sketches and we saw how striking it looked in black and white, and really kind of how gritty it really shows the story, both Christina and I completely fell in love with the kind of stark black and white colors of it.
It kind of gives it that manga feel. I don't know if you guys have manga over in the UK or not.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. So it kind of gives it that, because when you read manga, even though it's all black and white, you still can feel a little bit more of the grittiness with it when you're reading it. So that's the kind of impression I get from this. I just feel this is going to be a very gory, dark kind of story to take away from. Am I in the ballpark?
yeah. I mean, it's definitely not going to be your light-hearted romp through the forest. This is going to be, it's going to be hitting a lot of issues. So we're going to be tackling the psychological issues that obviously come from people with PTSD, which is an issue which lots of places either misrepresent or they skirt around and try not to talk about it. And it's something which really needs to be brought more to the forefront of public knowledge of how PTSD affects people. So we're tackling that. We're tackling, obviously, the military, sociopaths. We've got a lot of stuff going on in this novel, and it's not light-hearted. There's a lot of dark moments, and yeah, it's gonna be pretty rough. Sorry, it's gonna be pretty rough reading.
Yeah,
And
I'm always open for a good rough story. You don't get a lot of that these days.
yeah,
So
and the main thing that the novels kind of looking to showcase is humans out of touch with nature.
that
I'm
is
really sure how much humanity has come away from nature, and this is where the lycanthropes, with their tight links to wolves and the balance of nature and the kind of food chain and everything, is really showcasing how much humans are almost afraid of nature now. We don't understand it, and because of that, we try to run away from it, and we've locked ourselves into big concrete, dare I say, safe houses. And I don't think humans could really survive in nature. And also, by doing that, how we've become more dangerous than nature ever could be.
hmm I agree with
We,
that, because I was
we're threat to nature and biggest threat to anything around, far more than nature ever could be.
I was thinking about that. Actually, you kind of helped me make a decision, because my wife was like, let's go hiking tomorrow. And I'm like, I don't really want to go hiking. But she's like, I said I'd think about it. So now looks like I'm going hiking tomorrow. It was about like
Well,
90 something degrees out here, so it's going to be a hot one for us.
well, if what we do in this novel is inspire people to get out and get more in touch with nature and start respecting nature a little bit more. So not just thinking of wolves as the big bad creatures from fairy tales, but actually realizing these are incredibly intelligent, lovely animals and getting people interested in it, then as far as I'm concerned, we've got a winner.
I think more or less I want a wolf now. I mean, that's just me, but maybe other people would walk away and just like, I want a wolf pup and raise it as one of my own.
Well, it's quite funny that you say that because the one thing that we want to do is also say that these are still wild animals. And in
Mhm.
fact, throughout our entire promotion campaign, we have been working with a wolf charity over in California. Um, and it's the Lockwood Animal Rescue Center. And basically, this is a group of ex-military veterans who are suffering from PTSD, and they're in charge of rescuing and rehabilitating wolves.
Okay.
And yeah, it's really great for us to be working alongside them and really helping both veterans and mistreated wolves and coyotes and whatnot, and really, as I said, helping both animals move on, both
Okay.
humans and wolves. So it's been great to work with them.
That's fantastic. So you said that most of these are going to be in black and white. Well, the
Yep.
entire book is going to be in black and white. That explicit page you posted on Instagram, that one that was in color. Why was that one in color?
Because that's a Kickstarter exclusive as well.
Okay, and that is that going to be like inserted into the book itself, or is it going to be like a separate page, or like I wouldn't say a poster because I don't know if I would hang something
No,
like
it's
that on
going to
my
be a separate. It's going to be a separate insert for people who have backed us through Kickstarter.
Oh, okay, okay, fantastic. All right. Well, I am looking forward to seeing where this goes because it looks great in terms of both story, concept, and art. And those are the three things I look for. I look for a great concept, I look for a great story, and lastly but not least, I look for great art. So usually those are my main criteria for that. So when are you guys expecting the project to be finished?
Well, if the Kickstarter is successful, and as with every Kickstarter, that's a big if.
Hmm.
We're not going to take anything for granted. If it's successful, with any luck, we'll have it out by the beginning of next year. Obviously, it takes a lot of work to get this, so some people are quite surprised that it would then take a year to create it. But we've got 48 other pages, which we've got to design and write and draw. So it'll take some time, but hopefully, Volume 1 will be out by 2020.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I have one more question too. Can't really think about it. They come and go. Like they pop in and then they go, then they pop in again and they go. Oh yeah, here it is. You said 48 pages. How many pages do you guys have done now?
So we've got 10 pages.
Okay.
We've got the 10 page for the preview that we've got there.
Okay, yeah, I read that preview and it just the one
Well,
right here on the Kickstarter, that was your 10-page preview, correct?
yeah.
Yeah, it was good. So that was fantastic. So guys, if you're watching right now, you want to kind of get into what they're doing here, just go visit their Kickstarter page. They do have a 10-page sample that you guys can go ahead and read. And if you're like me and like it, go on ahead and back it. That's all. And I follow them on Instagram too, because they do have a lot of cool artwork that comes out almost every day now, right?
Yeah. Christina's really good on Instagram. The one thing, I mean, she's a social media guru for her kind of full-time job. And obviously that means she's well aware of how important social media is for any promotion. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, she's really active, and we always make sure to kind of show cool stuff and keep people interested on Instagram. But basically all we can say is, if you like what you're seeing on Instagram and you like what you're seeing on the Kickstarter page, just please back it.
Mhm.
Go ahead and pledge anything, because even £1 will, or $1 will mount up, and that helps us.
I get it. 100%. So, well, thank you, Alan, guys. Thank you for coming on to the show. It was really fun getting inside you guys' head and understanding this. So, you got any questions for me before we go?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered everything. Just thank you so much for having us on here. It's been a great honor and great privilege to be able to come here and chat to you about, about
No
what we're doing.
problem. When you guys launch your other volumes, be sure to get in touch with me because I would really love to have you guys back on the show. Maybe have Christina
Oh,
on the show too.
yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a great Saturday, and I will talk to you soon.
All right. Have a great day and enjoy your hike tomorrow.
Oh, I will. Now that I see this, trust me, I will. Have a good one. Bye.
Take care.
And that is it for this episode of Indie Choice Picks. Guys, if you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell because I upload a new interview with a new creator twice a week on Wednesdays and Sundays. So if you want to be in know and see what's going on Indiegogo, Kickstarter, as well as webcomics such as Webtoons and Tapas, all you got to do is stay in the know with me and I'll bring you everything that I come across. So if you are an indie creator and you are looking to promote your work or get a little bit more of an view with your audience, please let me know what you're working on. Send me a DM. I am on Twitter at heroic_studios, as well on Instagram at will@AT_heroic_studios. And I'll put those links in the description below. If you like this interview and you want to support the Kickstarter, I will also place the link below in the description area of this video. Go on there and just throw them a couple bucks because this story looks really exciting and inviting. Awesome concept. Okay, so you heard it from the creator himself. Get on there, let us know how you like it, and I will see you guys next week on another episode of Indie Choice Picks with a new creator. You guys have a good week. Bye.